works, I have to log into yours.
Right.
So basically, I'm not liking this expansion. It's actually making the arch, like when she smiles, as people notice smile width. The first change they noticed was ortho. When I smile, I'm showing more teeth here. Like they love a smile. I can tell you majority. So that's the first thing she'll notice. Oh, my smile's narrower. Like my teeth are going in. Actually gives an age look as well. So we don't want that at all. In fact, in time, what happens in time, let's remove the super, actually buccally with our cheeks getting flaccid as we age, she's gonna get increased buccal corridor. So if anything, you should just leave her with a slightly expanded premolar.
Yeah.
Okay, because in 10 years, she'll notice it, the buccal corridors. So we don't want that. Let's go to 0. That was a nice arch form. They made it worse. And I think that's because of the A's. Yeah, I personally don't think she needs lower IPR. So I won't worry about attachments. I'm looking at transverse, okay? Then I'm looking at vertical. I personally think vertical, there's not a lot of issues. I'm not too concerned. AP, we have no issue. So let's look at firstly my arch form. So I'm going to modify this. I love the live update, by the way. Invisalign's rocked it with that. The fact you can do a 3D live modification, I love it. So this is how they're showing me they're going to do, which is horrible. This is the original. Like, what the hell? They've effed up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into my arch and I'm just going to fix it because sometimes it's just easier to fix it. So I'm just going to lift this out. I don't like how they constricted that arch form. So now I'm going to put my super because the super, like, look, visually I can see because I've seen so many of these. You can put something called a grid on. Grid. If you put the grid on, you can actually measure each square is a millimeter. This is about millimeter. I do want a little bit more. So see, I'm going to remove the symmetric movements here. I want a little bit more here.
Okay.
And I'm just going to do it. And this is about fine tuning. I literally almost always will fine tune because I think it wasn't symmetric. I want it to be symmetric. It's looking a bit better now, a nicer rounder. I still think the premolar area, I want a bit more. And then, yeah, I still think that. I'm seeing a much nicer horseshoe shape here. And then see, the moment I expand, see that palatal cusp, mesiopalatal cusp. I should never see that in white. So the moment I expand, now I'm going to coordinate full arch, upper to lower, okay?
Right.
The moment I expand, I've already gone, okay, my 6s are not good. Going to remove the super. And I'm going to go into something called a tooth. Where's that arch width gone? Tooth. And with the tooth, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to use this buccal root. Do you see that buccal root torque? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to lift it a bit. Okay. Because I just use my 3D tools. And I know 30% of what I'm building will not happen. Okay. So I'm never worried about doing a little bit extra. Okay. So I feel now, and if I look from the front, now always keep comparing with the original. I love this show original tool as well. Just looks nicer. I still think the 4 is a bit in compared to the other side. So I would like to, you know, and these are little things. You can just see it. It's a bit in. Okay. I would like to just move it buccally myself. Now, the 4 is going to get a bit more expansion than we want, but the 4 can handle it. She's the other side. It's much nicer symmetry now of the arch form.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm just going to do a bit more buccal root torque. No, sorry. I have to see it this time. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just seeing a much, so let's see original. We got some expansion and it's nice. Okay. And see that 6s now? Like if I put the super, see how the palatal cusp of the 6s are covered in blue?
The blue, yeah.
What I want, because otherwise you will get a posterior open bite there. So overall, what I want, anywhere there's a blue dot, by the way, anytime you see that, so these I'm just going to remove those attachments. It's just saying it's slightly complex movement. I will
Horizontal.
pretty much put horizontal conventional. Yeah, pretty much I will do that. The only difference is in the canine, I'll just bring it closer to the cuspal third.
Yeah.
Okay, and I personally think these tiny attachments, anyway you see on premolars, these tiny ones, just remove them. They don't work. You don't need them. Just for plastic to push, doesn't need attachments. So basically, I'm tweaking this plan. Now, obviously, I prefer to work like that because I'm controlling. I don't like this. I know I told you blue, but this is intrusion. Intrusion is very predictable. So, so we don't really need attachments there. The only reason I'm putting on the molar because we're pushing the teeth and we're doing buccal root torque. Okay. So also you can hover on the blue. It'll tell you why it's advanced movement. So now I'm going to remove the super. I do like the final positioning. Invisalign techs have got that quite nice. So let's look at the original. You said they had extruded teeth. I don't see them extruded.
They've done extrusion in the, I think they did a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad though. It looks fine. That's minimal. Yeah, I think it's minimal. I actually think it's fine. They've done a good job.
Right, okay.
So this one, the only thing is though, Arvind, that tiny attachment with the bevel, it's tiddly. It's really tiny when you put them in. That's not going to get a nice big cane central and move it like that. No way. So I'm going to remove it because this is not going to work. Yeah. So we're going to change this attachment into the one that I do think will work, and your wife may not like it, but she needs this because this is the biggest movement in the whole thing. And I'm going to just have to move it here. Now, let me see. And unfortunately, we're going to change this one as well to the same one. For a period of 3 or 4 months, she will need it as much as, like, if a patient said to me, I can't have labial attachments, I say, look, you are extending your treatment time, and at some point you have to have them. You cannot say no. Like some movements, you just have to have and agree to them. I actually think everything else is good. I actually think they've done a good job. And now I'm just like, I'm just like looking at the position of this. The canine looks like it's a bit sticking out. So generally it's the root angulation, and it's just looks a bit flared out buccally. So if you look at the 2-3, the 2-3 looks nicer. See what I'm doing? I'm just trying to match it to the 2-3. Just trying to match it. And it just needed a bit of a lingual tip. And I think it's looking good now. The only thing is your 2-3 margin is higher, 1-3 is lower. 1-3 is being extruded too much. I'm actually going to intrude it. I don't think it needs that much extrusion.
Yeah. No, same.
Do you know what I mean? Especially for I actually don't think it needs that much. So now it just looks a bit off. So I'm just going to bring it back a bit more. And even this looks a bit too lingually tucked. So I'm just going to do a bit here. And then I think even this one needs intrusion, to be honest. Sorry, the other way. They've extruded that. I don't want that. Yeah, I think this is not bad. This just needs a bit of buckle. So you just need to keep comparing, huh? Look what I'm doing. I'm literally just matching the side I like. Everything else doesn't look bad to me, Arvind. It looks really good. Now, because she didn't have a much vertical problem, but we don't want to create a posterior open bite. So I'm going to remove, remember these tiddly attachments? We just remove them.
Yeah.
Don't even worry. They're just wasting your time. They're just bonding for nothing. And we're going to look at why we have blue dots, right? So we have a blue dot here because rotation. Okay, we have a blue dot here because of missing rotation. This is also rotation. So let me just see again, original. Yeah, you need one on the canine. I'm going to put a horizontal. My favorite ones. Seriously, these work a charm in any movement.
Horizontal.
Yeah. One thing I do want, I don't care about that. It's hardly rotating. Okay. What I do want is in your lower sixes, if she's got no crowns, I'd like it there.
Mhm.
Okay. And my lower six has to extrude. Oh, yeah, it's already extruding 1.2. No, my lower six has to extrude. Okay, it has to extrude. So see what I'm doing? I'm extruding it by 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 millimeter. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get posterior open bite because the
Open wide from
plastic
now.
is sitting between the teeth, okay? Even
Yeah.
this one, make sure it's not intruding. Yeah, that's good. You don't need an attachment, but just make sure they're not. Yeah. This one just needs a bit tucking in. So see,
So we
every
have
little thing,
so we have extrusion of lower molars for
a little bit,
no vertical
yeah.
discrepancy and for deep bite too.
Well, she doesn't really have a deep
No,
bite.
she doesn't have it, but just for deep bite case, not open bites.
Yes. So I'm actually just doing that. And then just look, if I get a blue dot, right, I'm going to look at that. Why? So rotation, okay. This one, okay. If it really wants it, I'll put one. And then rotation, okay, rotation. Intrusion doesn't need attachment. It's very predictable. So here we are. I'm just going to lift it up a bit. Okay. So it just, to me, attachments are looking more appropriate. And then I'm just going to have a look without the upper arch there. And I'm just going to see the movements here. So you have to be very finicky, huh? Because if you spend a lot of time on that, I'm telling you, your refinements are easy. I don't mind this power ridge, but it makes a lip in the plastic. So it rubs on the patient's lips, especially adults. I would just remove it. You don't need it. They don't work. There's no evidence showing they really work. I don't like the asymmetric IPL. Is that this probably just happened? She is okay. Like she's actually good. She can get a bit of see what's happening. The model adjusts as I remove IPR. Incisors are coming forward, and I think that's okay for her. She can handle it easily. Let's remove the super again. I'm actually even likely to put a different attachment here because I think the 1-2 has some root movement as well. These two are your tough teeth, aren't they? They're 1-2 and 1-1.
Yeah.
I like it now. You probably can do some of the other movements later. You will probably need one refinement. Okay, and probably one refinement should be enough. I just feel that looked a bit proclined. And then lower, we make sure it's extruding slightly.
Yeah.
So 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 is good. Anywhere between that, doesn't matter. Just a bit of extrusion so you don't get a posterior open bite.
Only for 6s or 7 too?
Usually just 6s. Even 7s, if I look, that's a good question. If I look at 7s as well, you can do 7s as well. Okay, as long as they're not intruding. So yeah, 7s as well. They shouldn't be intruding.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you don't put an attachment, right, there's a bit of a gap between the plastic and tooth, isn't it? We built extrusion, but there's no attachment. So what that doesn't allow the tooth to go in. It doesn't allow it to intrude. The plastics keeps putting pressure, but there's a gap between the tooth and plastic. So it kind of almost 0.2 millimeter extrusion can actually happen even without attachments. I think overall I'm happy with this. The only thing I don't like lower incisors, but they are unevenly worn. Really, like, see, look at the edges. These are things patients pick up the most. I actually think this needs a bit of buckle tip. Yeah, it looks a bit better now. And this still looks a bit rotated. So I'm doing my mesiodistal rotation. Maybe I am going to put an attachment on that because look at how much it's rotating. 25, 26, 28 degrees now. Looks a bit better now. And You can do IPR. They are quite wide, but I just think, what's the overjet? What's the original overjet? No, we maintain. Let's just do this, okay? I actually think there's no harm in doing a bit of 0.2.
Okay.
0.2 is just with the hand. Just with the hand, couple of times you do it with your appointments. I think the laterals are a bit wide. It will just make it a bit nicer. I mean, you could even do a bit here. Even her centrals are a bit wide.
And question the IPR, because I think when she's small, I can see the teeth are really wide. So IPR will be beneficial for that. With IPR between 1121 and 2122, should I just use single sided strip to just basically slice 2-1 only? Because that's really wide tooth.
Yeah.
And I can get the same space.
Yeah. This is like designing veneers, because this is a cosmetic case. So I actually think you have to get to this point. I just think this is a bit off. Like you can just keep doing this forever, but I just think it's just tiny. It's slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you might need some more IPR. If you think, look, I can do another 0.2, I think it'll look better for her. So overall, I'm much more happier with this. I just think this canine is still a bit, I moved it buccally quite a lot. A lot of times canines, the roots are prominent. So you need more buccal root torque there. I think it's the 4 that's throwing me off. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So I find this is very good. You could do something called a live update right there. And it's just saying your occlusal contacts, blah, blah, blah. This is a very good plan, Arvind. Sorry, I took over because sometimes you're also watching me do this. And so you're kind of going,
I mean, that's what I wanted actually for you to do it. Because that's why I didn't actually make any comment to Invisalign guys, because I wasn't quite sure.
This is very fine fiddling. You cannot actually communicate this to the technician. Like, it's just easier. It took me 15 minutes, but it's easier if I do it, because now I know the next update is exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And I mean, 0.1 degree telling them do it. I rather just do. I love this live update, and I love the fact you can just see it now. So this, whatever I've just done, I've recorded it as well. So I'm going to send you a recording later. And the main thing I'm going to look at now, when they repost the plan, how many aligners they gave me. Because now we fixed all the movements, attachments, final positions. I'm pretty confident we won't get a posterior open bite. Oh, sorry. I want to put an attachment on the 4-1. I forgot. 4-1. Was it 4-1 or which one was?
4-2. 4-2.
4-2 was rotating quite a lot. I have to just double check again. So you could do, I don't know if it allows you to. So it's basically saying, see what it's given me. It's given me 19 aligners. I don't like it. So what I'm going to do, 19 aligners are fine though, actually. I might even ask. I just want to do a super. It shows me the, I think I want to put an attachment on 4-2. 3-2, 3-2, not really. It's just getting pushed buccally, which is a okay movement. Plastic's good at pushing. Buccolingually, very good at pushing. And then it's intruding a bit. So I don't think we need an attachment here. I think this one we do, it would help. So if I were to modify it again, I want to put, now you might think rotation vertical. Again, the teeth are so short, I just do horizontal and they work really well. I've never had issue with rotation with horizontal.
So when they send the plan back, will you be able to check it again?
It's coming back now.
It's coming back now, okay. So that's a live update. That means we can just check it now.
Yeah. Usually I don't check over and over again, Arvind. That's mad. That's mad. Like it's just
it takes weeks and months to finalize a new plan this way.
And it's also, I forget. Actually, I'm going to put 3. I'm sorry. I'm going to put here too. She may not like it, but I just think there's quite a lot of movement. I think it's better for her.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much done. The next update, I'm happy. You can just approve it. I won't approve it. I'll give you back the remote control. But I think it's very good plan. And if it's about 19, 20 aligners, I think it would take that much. It's about 4 or 5 months of treatment. And then even if we did braces, that would take 4 or 5 months. But there's no harm in making the aligners 25, for example. Slowing down the tooth movements is more comfortable for the patient. It is more predictable for your result. And I do think so. In my head, the rule of thumb is if Invisalign shows me 19 aligners, I'm going to add another 30% on top.
Okay, we can do that. That's fine.
On average, 30% of movements don't happen. So that's just a rough number in my head. And because of that, I just add another 30% aligners. I say, give me, instead of 20, give me 25. Give me. So now they've shown me 19. I'm just going to write here my final comment. Okay. Please provide upper lower 25 active aligners. I don't want to see passive aligners. No passive aligners. No other changes, because that's very important, because they might do no other changes. Right. So I'm going to submit it. Now, this part, you actually have to wait for it to come back.
Right. And how about IPR appointments? Can we check that? When will they be at the same time? Or
I don't really look. IPR is not an exact science like that. You don't have to worry about it. As soon as you do the 0.2, you do it. You could do it at 1. You could do it at 2. You don't have to program it to that degree, because incisors are coming forward. They're creating space. The IPR is to reduce black triangles and just allow the alignment a bit. So it's not critical in this case. If incisors couldn't have come forward at all, it's very critical when you do it. You got to do it straight away. Okay, here they're coming forward a bit. There's no risk of recession, really. You've got mild IPR. Just start doing it from day one. Hand IPR once, and then do it again a couple of weeks later. Hand IPR again, maybe another time 3 weeks later. It's not exact. Okay. And as long as the aligners are tracking well, there's hardly any unseat, you've got it good. Okay. And with the upper, we've done some IPR here. Like, look, I'm just doing a bit, because I think if you can do a bit with hand, it'll help here. It'll look nicer.
Only for 2-1.
If you're accurate enough.
Only for 2-1, isn't it?
Yeah. I think this is a very good plan. This will go
That's
really
good. No,
well.
thank you. I'm happy with that.